What up, what up, what up, college football world? We like to welcome you to another episode of Double D's Let's Talk College, where we tap in with all your weekly big matchups, your ranked matchups, your interesting games. We are your hosts, Damian Deshawn and D of D's Corner. Bro, what you doing, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm good, bro. What's going on with you,
You
man?
good? Nothing much, man. Just finished this shooting this roast with the Renegade Report, and then it was quite interesting and fun at the same time. But man, it's been a very interesting week zero up to week one. Man, we might as well just dive on into it. We like to
Mhm.
make sure we let our viewers make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I make sure I get that out there to you. Hey, it's free, but man, we're gonna dive into week zero. I mean week one, and let's start with the one of the Sunshine matchups. I would like to start there, the game between Florida and Miami. The first thing that popped off the screen was probably the second drive Miami had, where you could definitely see there was something different with the way that they were playing. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say on both ends that they ask the question, is Florida that bad or is Miami that good? And I, in my opinion, say somewhere in between.
Mm.
Um, I think the acquisition of Cam Ward was the right move for them. He gets them out of bad situations, able to mask some deficiencies that they do have. It's not all gravy, but for what they were asked to do and what they came there to do, they did it with authority. And Florida just looked unprepared, uninterested, and really looked awful. But let's start with your take, man. What is your take on that game when you watched
Florida's gonna be looking for a new head coach.
it?
They just we talked about it before when we were
Hmm.
doing the preview and Cam Ward not really being in a big or what we felt was a big atmosphere.
Hmm.
Um, and one of the quotes he said after the game was he played at Oregon. I think he said Arizona State or one of them was
Hmm.
louder than
Yeah.
the Swamp, and that's supposed to be one of those places. But they played with energy. Miami
Hmm.
did. They played with belief. Like they felt like you could tell the players felt like they had their guy. Like
Yeah.
we can win with him. Um, Defensively, they look pretty sound. Um,
Yeah.
overall, I agree with you. I think I think that's it's somewhere in the middle of is Florida that bad
Hmm.
or is Miami that good? I think it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think Miami will be undefeated. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't think they played. I don't think they dominated, but I think they did play. I think they played well.
Yeah.
I I like what I saw out of Ward. I like what I saw out of Ward. So they right now they look like the best team right now in Florida.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Uh, well, in my opinion, I say one thing I noticed was Miami max protect a lot. So
mm,
when you do that, I'm looking at, okay, what are you hiding?
what you hiding?
Yeah, you're hiding something. If you're max protecting, that means you're only sending multiple, maybe three men on a route, or two-man routes and maybe a back. They're going
Right.
to run with it, but they can run the ball. They have two sledgehammers that they'll run the ball with, and they even have a third guy that can give them that lightning kind of in the bottle. They have some capable tight ends, no nothing
Yeah.
flashy, but some guys that can make plays. They don't have no big receiver, but they got a lot of guys that can get them yak, get
Yeah.
that crucial first down just to move the chains. The
What's
only
espresso
yeah,
or
Restrepo,
something like
Restrepo,
that? Yeah.
George, and then they got a guy that they got. I can't remember his name, but he came from Houston, University of
Mm,
Houston, and he could give them something. The thing that I would watch for with them is a team with a defensive line, and I don't know if they'll play a team with a defensive line that can really get after Cam on their schedule. They do have a very
right.
very favorable schedule that sets up perfectly for them to be. This is why they're all in this year, because their schedule sets up for them to really be to run the table, or at least get 10, 11
Especially
wins.
especially after other games that we'll touch on
Yeah,
too. That
yeah,
really, and the two games, Florida State dropped, both being ACC games,
yeah,
was very, very, very vital in
yeah,
Miami's chances of
yeah,
reaching the 12-team playoff.
yeah. The only team I see that could give them problems with their defense is Clemson, and it's not on their schedule.
Clemson.
Uh, and the reason why I say this is, as you see, Cam has a little bit of a issue where he drifts back a lot, sort of like how Madden players or your college football
Yeah.
game players they do that against the Georgia. You ain't doing that shit. You ain't getting away with that. I don't care if you max protect or not. You're not getting away with that because they'll disguise their coverages, force you to read it, contain you. They're going to do those things, but they don't have a team like that on their schedule. So it really works in their favor. So if they do make the playoff, that's where you can see them get exposed in
Oh yeah.
certain areas.
And
That's where I would say that, yeah,
a lot of his throws too weren't. He made the play.
yeah.
I don't want to seem like I get he made the play,
Hmm.
but the off platform stuff, some of it wasn't
Yeah,
that needed.
yeah,
It
hmm,
never looked like he was throwing from a good base with his feeding or with
yeah,
his footing and everything. So, yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah. And to the Florida side, you see more of the same. I said I read something on social media where they said that Florida's first five scripted plays from last season, they basically ran the same shit again against Miami. So that tells you, yeah, it's telltale. It's a dead man walking situation there. Um, their defensive line. They have a shit. Florida has a shitload of talent. I'm not gonna lie
A
to you.
ton.
Yeah, they got a ton of talent. They're talent wise, their roster is one of the top 10 rosters in the country. But where they needed to be at with their quarterback situation and their play calling, they don't attempt down the field to take shots. They run a lot of vanilla style offense calls, and it really just played into Miami's hand. Uh, Another thing that's a travesty is what they've done on their defensive line, with two of their biggest defensive tackles being candidates for my 600-pound life, and that's not good.
Yeah,
Just being honest, man. You got damn near 500-pound lineman on there, and I'm like, if he's supposed to be good, you're doing him a disservice by not putting those requirements for him to meet weight checks.
right.
I'm like, you get him down to 330, he's a monster. And they got another guy that's like that, that's like 350. You know what I mean? That's poor coaching, that's poor development when you get into talking about just the overall. But some of their players like Wilson on offense, Montreal, because you didn't have a comparable capable back behind him. He's coming off of just a few weeks ago getting some things cleaned up in his leg, and he had to play that game. He had a
Yeah,
great game. He still ran for 100 yards, which is telling also. He had a long run against Miami, so you got to watch out for that too with
right.
them. But as far as Florida, it is, in my opinion, a dead man walking situation right now, because if Miami beat the shit out of you like that, and you still got Texas, LSU, uh, who else?
Georgia, Tennessee.
Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss on the
Yep.
schedule. I mean that game,
They,
and go
they
ahead, go
might
ahead.
not go bowling.
Yeah, they may miss a bowl, or it may be a situation which I had addressed on a previous show when it comes to FSU. They may be the mid bowl or mud bowl. It
Yeah,
may be a situation where both those teams, they maybe need that game just to be bowl eligible,
right.
and the winner gets to go to a bowl while the other one sits at home doing the winner. But man, we're not gonna harp and stay on that game. I really think some things with Miami, they look different with the way they flowed on defense, and I would also say that Florida didn't make it hard for them to not.
At
It was pretty much they played into their hands. So it's still a wait and see on Miami with some confidence and liking some of the things that you saw from a football perspective. I take my garnet and gold shades off and I just talk ball.
yeah,
They looked damn good that on Saturday, but we're still
yeah.
a wait and see. With Florida, it's cover your eyes because you don't know what to expect here.
That quarterback, if I'm Florida, he's got to go. Graham
Yeah,
Mertz.
Graham Mertz. Yeah, here's
I'm
a
putting
noodle arm.
Lagway.
Yeah.
Lagway, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get the
You
kid the
going?
keys. Get a kid the keys, let it go.
Yeah, you go to a youth movement there and you
Yeah.
just take your lumps because shit, you're gonna take them anyway.
Because at least if at least if he shows some form of talent,
Hmm.
something that we ain't got right now, because their offense look outside of Montreal,
Hmm.
offense didn't look it, and I know that they have at least on paper
Hmm.
really good, capable defensive backs. They
Yeah.
always have a defense that swarms. They
Yes.
just they just didn't look. They didn't look. I don't know. They didn't look like Florida of old or Florida of what
We've known them
people
to
may have
be.
been used to. Yeah, what people
Yeah.
may have been used to
Yeah.
them to be.
Even defensively, man. I mean, with their play calling, it makes you wonder what's going on with their defensive coordinator.
Right.
They have a guy, they have a young defensive coordinator that's, I think we're older than their defensive coordinator. But they brought in the original architect from Auburn to run, help run the defense with him,
Hmm.
who's actually calling the defense, and you still see a lot of ineptitude on that side of the ball.
Yeah. Um, did you get to watch the Michigan West Virginia game?
The Penn State. You talking about
Penn
Penn
State,
State, West Virginia?
Penn State,
I
West
did
Virginia.
not see all of that. I know that Penn State kind of pulled away late. West Virginia made it a game, like we said, they make it a game early because of the home field, and that is a challenging place to play. But Penn State managed to. I think that was a talent gap is the reason why Penn State pulled away. They just had more talent than West Virginia did, especially in the trenches. But I did not see the entire game.
I didn't get to see any of it. That's why I asked.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
I know.
we were out. But the one game, obviously two games I want to talk about.
Hmm.
Um, one being LSU USC. I didn't know.
Hmm.
I don't know if we was going to do this in order. If you want to touch on Notre
No,
Dame A&M first, but I had to say it while it was on my mind.
go ahead.
What I saw personally out of USC,
Hmm.
out of that game in general, really good football game.
Hmm.
Really good football game. Um, some quarterbacks who I don't know why the announcers during the game kept trying to emphasize they sat here and they did this and they didn't want to transfer. They didn't.
Yeah,
Everybody's not on that. Everybody's not on that because if you could transfer and play, look at Travis Hunter.
yeah,
I don't care if it's in Jackson State, Florida State, Alabama, wherever, he can play. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But the defense for USC, and they are not known for having defense.
yeah.
The confidence that has got to give them going in because they're not in the Big Ten, right?
Yes, they are in the Big Ten.
When if you can go up against a SEC team
Hmm.
and stop, make plays like they did,
Hmm.
go toe to toe, I think that's a good confidence booster with them.
Hmm.
And um, that was the main thing that you from USC that stuck out to me. I really like what I saw out of them as a collective, but we know that what's the coach name? I started
Uh,
calling Cliff, but it ain't Cliff.
Riley, Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley.
Hmm.
You know he's gonna have a decent offense. His question has always been defense, and
Yep.
they look good on that side of the ball. LSU now, I don't know what's up with that coach, but that after that press conference afterwards,
Hmm.
their secondary looked terrible. They looked
Yeah.
terrible last year. They look terrible this year.
Yes.
I do not see, and it was a good game. You know, overall, still it was a good game.
Hmm.
Emory, Emory, I think the running back,
John Emery, Emery
John
Jr.
Emory. Yeah, I
Yeah, he
think
ran hard.
he had some plays. He ran hard. It was good because they get they talked about his story being injured, a 5-star
Hmm.
recruit, and all that. Dude was running the ball. Dude was running the
Yeah.
ball. Dude was running hard. Overall, though, out of that game, I really like what I saw out of USC. What's
Yeah.
your takes on that game?
The same thing. I actually had said that if they can get any inkling of a defense that's decent to average, they would actually, be much more improved than from what they were last year, even the year
Mm-hmm.
before when they won double digit games and made it to a New Year's Six bowl. Um, I like what I saw also. I like the attitude in which they
Yeah.
played. They flowed to the ball. The DBs, the DBs had some rough patches, which we
Yes.
can get into that with the LSU side. But as far as their front seven, they got after the quarterback and they made the necessary plays to keep them get themselves and keep themselves in the game, with pressures and different things. I like what their linebackers, that coach that they brought over from North Dakota State.
Yes.
Um, you can see instantly with their linebackers the impact he's brought to that whole defensive staff as well as to that position room. Man, they look solid, flowed, uh, what is it called, triggered. They
Yeah.
triggered to their holes, their gaps. They played sound gap, gap sound football. Of course, playing a team like LSU, SEC type team, they're going to want to run physical. But the thing about it that was unique is where they would normally they matched LSU's physicality in the trenches when they needed to, and that
Yep.
was even with the offense when they didn't run neither team really ran the ball well,
Yeah.
but when USC needed to run the ball
They
and
were
it was
able
running
to.
the ball time, they were able to. Now their offensive line still has some question marks, but I'll be honest with you, that left tackle that they have, he's a freshman, he's a true freshman. So they're playing some young guys on that line with experience. So it's going to take a little time. So it's going to be interesting that part to see them as the Big Ten schedule comes along, and if they can hold up. But if they can play and can keep that attitude, that mentality that they showed in that first game, I can see them winning it no less than 9 games. And that would be decent because a lot of people expecting them to probably barely maybe win 6 or 7, thinking that they're
Yeah.
not ready to play in the Big Ten. But I think they have an offense that's going to catch a lot of Big Ten teams off of
Off
balance
guard.
because of their
Yeah.
speed. But if they can play in the trenches, they'll be all right. If their trench play on the offensive line and then they continue to play the way they played against LSU on defense and show up some things in the secondary, they'll be all right because they're not going to face a lot of passing teams other than the teams that followed them from the Pac-12. Outside of Ohio State, which I don't know if they play them this year, it's a lot of teams that's
I don't
just
know,
going to
but
want to.
that freshman wide receiver they got.
Yeah, yeah.
Woo,
Are you talking about
them boys.
Jeremiah? Yeah,
Yeah, Jeremiah
yeah.
Smith.
Yeah, it's a lot
Yeah,
of freshmen that went off this week. Cam Coleman went off. Jeremiah Ryan Williams for Alabama went off.
buddy
Uh,
from Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah,
That
he went off.
quarterback.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
quarterback.
Man, I trade him. I give him his cousin. I give them his cousin, and they can give me him, and we can see where we go from there. Cause I ain't liking this, and even with USC, his other cousin is a backup quarterback for USC. I take him too.
For real.
But anyway, yeah, Maya, he was a quarterback at UNLV last year. I
Okay.
think they're a relation, or they know each other. Definitely,
Gotcha.
it's family. Polynesian big family.
Oh yeah.
But getting before we move on to the next game, yeah, I like what I saw from USC. I was impressed watching the game. It was such a good game. I got excited watching USC's defense because
I did
that's
too.
been the big question mark. I'm
Their
like,
opening
I'm
drive
not.
got me
Yeah,
going. Their
yeah.
opening. It was. I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. I didn't cut you
You
off.
good? Go ahead, talk, man.
Linebacker, he's either 18 or 48. I know he got an 8 in it. He was
Mm-hmm.
he was coming up thumping on
18. Uh-huh.
that first drive.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, let's see. I was like, SE might make this a game. And then they end up
yeah.
coming out winning the game.
Winning the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for LSU on their side, this is Brian Kelly's third straight season opening loss. We know he lost the last 2 years to Florida State.
He did. You
And then
seen
he
his press
loses it.
conference?
Yeah, he was pissed. But I think that was just a little false bravado. It is what it
Yeah.
is. I still think I like some things I saw from them. That damn they got a quarterback. Garrett Nussmeier, he's a guy. And I knew it. I actually knew coming into the season because we'd seen him in mop-up duty 2 years ago when they had to do
Mhm.
the SEC title game against Georgia. He threw well against Georgia. Then he threw like 300 or something yards against them
No, I think
or
so.
something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he had a damn good game and a loss. It was just
Yeah,
they
but
had to. It was
he had a good game Saturday or whatever
yeah,
day they played Sunday.
yeah, yeah. I know that's what I'm saying. I said I knew that he wouldn't that the quarterback issue losing Daniels would not be a problem for
Oh
them.
yeah, yeah.
It was their
They just
yeah
don't have that explosive
yeah
those explosive runs from the quarterback.
because they
But
don't have yeah Go ahead.
their defense is going to let them down, especially in that
Yeah.
secondary.
You know what
Especially in that secondary.
other than that, their defensive tackles also.
Yeah,
That was an issue for them. They lost Mason Smith and they lost the other guy. I can't remember his name. I think Detroit drafted him if I'm correct. Um,
can't remember his
they
name.
lost some of their deep tackle play. They didn't necessarily feel it good in the portal and recruiting. It's going to take time with that and development. They'll
Yeah,
get the linemen because, yeah,
Perkins was quiet too.
yeah, because they really don't know what to do with him. He's
Yeah,
6'1", maybe 225 now, 230. It's too small to be a true defensive end, but he has a knack to pass, rush the passer.
yeah.
But his future is actually playing at linebacker,
Mhm.
and he can get lost there because he's a jack of all trades, master of none kind of
Mhm.
situation. But you're right. Their secondary still needs to be fixed. Now they did bring back Robinson, who's the legendary defensive back coach that they had there over their runs when they had Les Miles and 2019.
Yeah.
Those years. He's the one when they used the moniker DBU for them. He's been the guy that's been there, and those DBs came up under him.
Well,
But
they still looked undisciplined on defense. I
yes,
think,
yes.
Major Burns had a couple bonehead
Hmm.
plays. It was
Hmm. It was a
some
few of them taking.
of some of that's the same thing. Like, did they did they win the game, or did USC win the game, or did LSU lose the game?
You can ask that
You
question
know what I'm
because there
saying?
was
Like
a.
that. That's kind of how
Mhm.
that game went, in my opinion.
What was the crucial play? Was it a special teams where the guy took the helmet off or something like that in
Took the helmet off.
celebration,
Yep,
and then they got a 15-yard penalty or something like that, and then they
that
gave
was
USC
Burns.
life, and yeah,
Yep,
and
that was Burns.
they took
Then I
over
think
the
they went
game
down and
after
scored
that.
on that drive. They went down and
Yeah,
scored on
they
that drive.
did.
Yep,
Yeah. And
yep,
it's like USC made crucial plays on it, like the big catch that wide receiver had, or the almost kick return that Zach
yeah.
Branch had. USC made plays when they needed to make plays. I think where LSU fell apart in this game, and we'll move on after this, was they stopped feeding Kyron Lacy. They stopped getting him
Yes,
the ball. And then
yes.
he even made a bonehead play in the end zone after scoring. They cost him a
Oh
penalty,
yeah,
gave them a
yeah,
penalty, but they stopped giving him the ball. He had 7 catches, 94 yards, averaged 13.4 per catch, and he had a touchdown in that game. He should have had at least 4 more catches.
yeah.
That should have been a easy 150-yard game and 2 touchdowns. But they stopped feeding him. But I get it. They maybe tried to establish the run, but they kind of got in a little a muddle there in what they were trying to do.
It seemed like with that they wanted to try to run the clock. They didn't
Yeah.
want to get into a shootout, and I
Hmm.
think that's realizing your secondary is weak.
Hmm. He
So
was trying to protect his defense.
yeah,
Yeah, and
which
it
is
just it
crazy to
didn't
say
work for him.
about a SEC team, let alone LSU.
Yeah, historically, has had a solid defense.
Historically, that's what they're known for. So
Yeah, but we'll touch on. Let's go into Saturday. Let's see. We touched on Miami, Florida, USC, LSU. Let's talk the
A&M,
big game. A&M. Let's go A&M Notre Dame. Um, let's put it this way, and I'll say this, and it's been said: if Texas A&M had anything of a quarterback to make anything on offense, they beat Notre Dame in that game.
yeah,
They didn't get the best performance from their offense. That's what let them down. Their defense came to play. They packed their lunch pail and they came to play. They made enough plays on defense and got them Notre Dame off the field. But the problem is basically two teams. Notre Dame just had a little bit more offense. I believe Riley made plays, but he only had like 100 and some yards and then 60 on the ground, which I can
yeah. He
see
just
that's him. That's his
yep,
game. That's his game. He's not a consistent 300, 400-yard passer, and he's not a driver. He's basically a poor man's Daniel Jones, in
hmm
my opinion. Of course, they're gonna hype it up like he. Be rest assured. I'm pretty sure they'll try if they undefeated mid-season. They'll try to throw him into the
like
Heisman race.
yeah,
Yeah, they'll do that. They'll hype him up. But he is with another legit defense, which Texas A&M has, will give him problems. The problem is that was Texas A&M lost that game more than Notre Dame won
yeah.
that game. Notre Dame made enough plays to win it, but Texas A&M lack of offense is the reason why we're not sitting here saying Texas A&M played a hell of a game and won that football game.
and in my opinion, with Notre Dame, their defense played well, really,
Hmm.
really good.
Hmm.
Again, going up against the SEC team, they played at A&M too, if I'm not mistaken. They went
Hmm.
in there and won. That's a tough place to play. Um, golly. Oh, Riley did everything he was supposed to do, but that
Hmm.
running back for Notre Dame, he ran hard, 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 and it seemed
Yes.
like every single time they needed him, he was there. Like he was one that he was dependable that game.
Yes.
He was dependable that game. That was one of those games where that's what you needed. All we need is
Yeah.
whatever we're consistent at and we're doing well. Let's keep doing it. And Notre Dame seemed to have done it more than A&M.
Jeremiah Love. That's who you're talking
Love,
about.
love, yep, love,
Yeah.
love.
14. He had 14 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown.
Mhm.
He averaged 6.5. Riley Leonard, they kind of did a three-headed monster because Leonard gave him 63, and then Jordan Price gave him 44 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So they were able to establish the run. Riley was 18 of 30 with 158 yards. Um, their wide receivers, they don't Notre Dame's wide receivers do not scare me.
Mm-mm.
It's been a while since they've had a wide receiver that's been scary. I know they
But
got some
no, Claypool.
yeah, Claypool. They got a guy that they brought in from Clemson, Bo Collins. I mean, he made some timely plays, 5 catches, 62 yards. But those are not guys that I'm not necessarily going to be scared of. It's
Like they're
Notre
gonna
Dame
take over and
running.
dominate the game.
Yeah, run the ball. They're going to run the ball and play defense. They have one of the better defenses, better defensive lines and secondaries in the nation. That's where their bread is going to be
Like
buttered. They're going
secondary
to be
is huge.
yeah, yeah. They got a legit secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive, they always have good offensive line, and then their defensive line is really talented too, with their linebackers being solid. Elite secondary, elite level line, defensive
Yes.
line, and steady, solid linebackers that do their job. That they're a lunch pail type of team. I wouldn't say this is a team that can win a national championship, but Notre Dame can make the playoff
They could be a
and
playoff
probably
team.
yeah, they're a playoff team and win a, and what is it, a win a game. I can see them winning a
Yeah.
game until they run into like possibly an Ohio State, Oregon, or definitely a Georgia or even an
Yeah.
Alabama. I think
Yeah.
that's where they have problems because they're just the skill positions won't match up.
Nope.
Yeah.
I
With Texas,
go
go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
No, I was saying with Texas A&M, I'll be honest with you. This is their first year. First year for Dan Elko as the head coach there. He was there as a
Yeah.
DC. Um, I like some things that I saw from them. I think they can win games on defense alone. I just think that gauntlet in the SEC, if they don't fix the situation with consistency in the passing game or being able to generate some points, that's what's going to cost them games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was expecting them to run the air out of the football,
Yeah.
play defense,
Hmm.
but I don't feel like there was anything spectacular from that game
No.
from A&M's offense, and I feel like they have players in which we should be able to get a spark from. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That was a home game. Like this, the atmosphere was set. I think I had A&M winning that game because it was a home game.
Hmm.
And Notre Dame came out. Notre Dame came out ready to play, man.
Yeah.
They came out ready to play.
Locked in. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but
Connor Wegman was 12 or 30 for 100 yards, man. He averaged
yeah,
3.3 yards per game, 2 interceptions. That kills
that
you.
he's got to go.
Yeah,
He's got.
he
I'm
kills you.
putting
He
one. I'm
kills you.
putting. I'm putting somebody else in.
Yeah,
I'm
and
putting
he
somebody
was a
else. And
five-star level
that was the
quarterback, man.
quarterback I wanted to talk. That was
Yeah,
quarterback. Him and Graham from Florida. Both of them. If you got
yeah,
talented younger guys, you need to put them in. You need to
yeah.
put them in because
And
at
and
least
what
because
it?
I know. Go ahead.
Uh huh. No, I was saying he was the talent young guy, and that's who they're going with.
Supposed to
You
be.
know?
So, but I know they.
Yeah.
I know they have more athletic younger guy.
Hmm.
Well, I think they're both redshirt sophomores or something like that. Give
Hmm.
them a chance. Run the ball. Play defense. You got probably one of the best defensive lines in college football.
Hmm.
Or you're well. We're gonna talk about another team soon. You're at least supposed to have one of the best defensive lines in football. So
But before we do that, let's go on to the big game of Saturday, which was Georgia Clemson.
Clemson. Supposed to be a big game.
Ooh, it was supposed to be a big game. I would say this. This is the same situation that we just mentioned with as I look up the numbers and stuff. Same situation that we mentioned with the Texas A&M versus Notre Dame game. Clemson's team, they have a playoff level team. And I think that team can beat a lot of the SEC, I mean the ACC teams. They'll win they'll win a lot of games in the conference. I think once again that's a team that'll stumble
Yes.
if they play have to play a Georgia again or have to play because what you see in a said quarterback for my program, you see it in the current quarterback that they have now. Ineptitude, inconsistency throwing. It looks like he's sometimes broken. Um, a telltale sign for me for them is remember we talked about and I told you when we were playing NCAA and I said is something wrong with Clemson's roster because they are slow.
Yeah.
You see some of that, and I was like, man, you actually see some of this in real life. I'm
Right.
like, EA really got this right. They
Yeah.
got this right. Clemson is
Yeah.
fucking slow in a lot of areas, and it was a telltale because in the actual game, they had Phil Maffa on kick returns. He's a
Right.
sledgehammer. Why do you have him returning kicks? I was
I
like,
heard Dabo say everything goes through Mafa.
yeah. And if that's the case, then that tells me right there you do not have the speed. And we all know that Clemson doesn't have the elite level wide receivers they've had in the past.
No.
Uh, the two guys they have now, Williams and I can't remember the other guy's name. Uh, he wears number 6. I
They
can't
don't
remember
have
his name.
they don't have elite quarterback play like they used to
No, they
have.
don't have it. They don't, and it's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
Like they have a 5-star backing up Klubnik, who was a 5-star, and it's ironic because you know who the number 5 and number 6 quarterbacks in the entire country in 2022 were Connor Wegman and Kay Klubnik.
Wow.
Those were the top 5. Those were both top 10 quarterbacks, both 5-stars, and that's it. Every 5-star and a 5-star. But let's speak to Clay Klubnik. He was 18 to 29, 142 yards and an interception. It sounds a lot like another quarterback they once had who's sitting down in Florida now. Uh, Maffa, 16 carries, 59 yards. Williams, 6 catches, 76 yards. I'm trying to remember the other guy. Let's see if I can see him. Tyler Brown. Both those guys are more on the smallish guy, smallest, like slot
Yeah.
style receivers to catch short passes, and that's what pretty much Clemson did a lot of. Brennan Stool, their tight end, is solid, but he's not going to break away from anybody. They don't have elite level speed, and they're depending on 2 freshmen in T.J. Moore and Bryant Wesco to be those future big guys. But they're not burners either. They're more your big
Right.
athletic,
Throw
high
it up.
point kind of guys. Yeah, high
Yeah.
point kind of guys. Um, that's what concerns me with Clemson. They do not have an offense that can win them a national championship. What they do have is a good defensive line, front 7. Their secondary is still some things to be
Yeah.
determined there. I can remember some Clemson fans before I pass it to you was saying that they should be able to run the ball, and they were looking at the fact that Georgia did not have their number 1 and number 2 backs playing in that game as a problem. And I kept my mouth shut because I knew about the Frazier kid,
Mm-hmm.
the freshman Nate Frazier from out of Compton, California, and I knew about. It's like y'all really don't know.
Right.
They with the offensive line that Georgia has, they can put a freshman or one of their reserves back there because of the mentality.
Right.
Shit, they could put Bell back there because they did it against Florida State in the bowl game last year. They have people that the mentality that they have, they're going to be able to run the football, and
They're
Kirby
gonna run
was
the
able
ball
to do it.
regardless. We're gonna
They're
run the
going to run
ball.
the ball fucking
Yeah.
regardless, and that freshman averaged 7.5 yards a carry on that Clemson defense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, and I wasn't surprised. It took a little while for them
From
to
the get going.
get going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's all it was. But what were your thoughts on the game and what you saw, bro?
Well, I'm gonna touch on the Clemson side of it
Yeah.
first,
Mm-hmm.
and
Sorry.
the comment you made regarding the quarterback that used to be there that's now down in Florida State. The difference is on the most alarming thing that I saw, and I think I want to believe the announcers even may have spoken. It was Klubnik's been there. DJ was been at 3 different locations. Klubnik's been there. He doesn't look like he's been developed. He doesn't look like he is a was a 5-star quarterback. He does not look like he is one that NFL teams will be fighting over. You know what I'm saying? It's just it look like you muted your mic too. Um,
Yeah, I
it's
did.
just that was alarming to me in
Mm-hmm.
general. From the Georgia side of it, the main thing was it took them so long to get going, but
Mm-hmm.
once they got rolling, um, I think Georgia has a tough schedule. I have some buddies here, that's Georgia fans. One of them said
Mm-hmm.
he believes Georgia will still at least take 2 losses. I
Mm-hmm.
think they have to go to Alabama, play Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
to Texas, Tennessee. So I mean, they have some tough games. And real quick, I wanted to touch on this because it just popped in my mind when I said Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
That quarterback is nice.
Mm-hmm.
That quarterback is nice. We talked about freshman going off. He went off, but
Imaleva.
yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't pronounce his name. But back to Georgia. Georgia, I want to see them play. Well, I guess that was what we were supposed to see them play another top team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with but I thought Clemson had a solid defensive line. Like I was expecting to see. And what's the linebacker? Carter,
Barrett Carter. Yeah.
Barrett Carter. Where was he?
He had 3 tackles in that game, 2 solo. That's
Where
it.
was he? Where was he? He's supposed to be one of the top linebackers, especially going to
Mm-hmm.
NFL prospects.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you? You're supposed to have a solid a defensive line. You should have
Mm-hmm.
linebackers who can run and tackle. Where the
Mm-hmm.
hell were y'all at? Where were y'all
That
at?
that
Georgia,
that makes you ask that question, bro. That maybe that's
yeah,
why he came back.
yeah. So
I mean,
that was one of the things where I was like, this is crazy.
yeah.
But Georgia, and the thing that I didn't understand, Georgia took a while to get going.
Yeah.
Georgia took a while to get going, and like you couldn't capitalize on anything. So you could kind of tell what teams were out. The games that we've talked about. You could tell
Mm-hmm.
what teams were prepared,
Mm-hmm.
what teams weren't.
Yeah.
I won't say LSU and USC.
USC. Mm-hmm.
Both of those teams came out like they were prepared to play.
Yeah.
I just believe LSU's secondary is trash. Georgia, it looked like what it should have looked like. You're
Yeah.
coming off. You're missing pieces. We stumble. Is it Mikael Williams?
Yes.
He got injured. But the guys who are supposed to make plays made plays. Carson Beck did what he was supposed to do.
275. Yeah. He did what
Um,
he's supposed to do.
Starks, is it Starks?
Malachi Starks.
Malachi
Yes.
Starks.
And the freshman
He
KJ
did.
Bolden. Yes.
Malachi did everything he was supposed to do from a leader standpoint and of that secondary, even locking down. I don't know if it was a tight end or a wide receiver on that interception.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a hell of a play on that ball too.
Yeah. He
But
did.
Georgia still has a tough schedule. I want to see how everything continues to roll, because if you come out against a Tennessee and you're stumbling, are they capable of jumping on you? Clemson,
Yeah.
we saw, you're not going to be capable of jumping on too many teams. That's just in my opinion. I didn't.
You're right.
Their defense. I thought I was expecting their defense to be top tier. I was expecting their defense to have playmakers on it, game changers, and I didn't see any of it.
No,
I didn't see
Clemson.
any of it.
Clemson is they're missing Nate Wiggins. That was their game changer in the secondary.
Yeah.
It was a lot of things expected and said. I mean, the season's still young, but Avion Terrell, AJ's little brother,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there's some question marks there in their secondary with things. You know, they lost Makuba. He transferred to Texas, so they've
Texas.
lost some talent. Yeah, you lose Nate Wiggins and you lose Makuba, all from
Mm-hmm.
last season's roster, and then you also lose Trotter too.
And you
Um,
don't want to. And you don't want to work the transfer portal.
Exactly.
So
You could have filled some spots that would have made you legitimately even improved your defense even better. I mean,
yeah,
Peter, we're gonna put it. I'm just gonna say this: Peter Woods is a fucking monster, man.
monster.
That's. I mean, Georgia had problems with him. And if Georgia had problems with them, everybody else that they play are going to have significant problems with him, because
Yeah,
anybody and everybody knows that there's only, I mean, one other offensive line I say that can even match Georgia. And then when they went up against Georgia last year, it got exposed, and that was Oregon. You know,
yeah,
Oregon is one of those teams in 2 years has only given up maybe 3 sacks in 2 years.
right.
Um, but when we just talking offensive lines, Georgia's offensive line is like that, and Peter Woods uh, made them have to work. Whoever he went
Right.
against, they knew they were who they were playing. They were playing a monster, and that kid
He
is
just showed
talented.
up by himself. That's the only
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, he
That's the
showed
only
up by
problem.
himself. They didn't get nothing from some of their other players that they were expecting. Like you said, Carter. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
get if he shows up that this game is probably a not a 30 what was it 34-3.
34-3.
Yeah, and that the running joke was damn. We picked with Clemson fans, damn, you lost to Georgia with your starters.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you lost to Georgia with your starters. You trolled us
Right.
all off season about losing 63-3. Damn it, you had your starters playing and still only scored 3 points. We scored 3 points on them with our backups and third
Yeah.
stringers. What are we doing? But anyways, all trolls aside, man, I was impressed with Georgia. It was what I expected as far as what they did. What I
Yeah.
didn't expect for Clemson to not score any points, but
At all.
anything but three. That was surprising. But to be fair, I think because of the conference that Clemson's in, I think their talent will be extremely better than every other team on their roster. It doesn't mean that they'll run the table, but it does mean that uh, their matchup in the trenches is still going to be a problem for some of the other programs that they'll have to play in their conference
Yeah.
in the ACC. And I think that will be in their favor because they don't play Miami unless they meet them in the ACC title
And the
game.
ACC title game.
Yeah, they get NC State. They got App State is their next game, and they play us in think 4 or 5 weeks.
Mm.
So and the way we're looking, I mean that game at Doak, we already like we ain't even know we showing up. So
Right.
so because even though they lost to Georgia, that was Georgia. You know,
Yeah.
I don't see nobody else on their schedule doing that to them.
Doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but outside of that game, man, we can move to the next one, and I guess that is yesterday's game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, before we move into this week's big matchups, man, I don't know what to tell you. It was ineptitude, more of the same. It's a lot of question marks going on, and it starts from the head down. You have to ask what's going on with coaching, and I can speak to you as a FSU fan, and then with our fan base, and even some of the people who know certain things, here and there. Um, there was some staff changes that probably should have been made after last season instead of giving raises. What you're seeing is not a telltale totally of the portal, but bad evaluations and poor recruiting in specific positions.
Yeah.
One of our biggest issues has been our linebacker coach and his recruiting, where FSU has traditionally been used to recruiting 5 to 4 star caliber linebackers. We haven't. We've recruited what we call this coach's specials. I won't throw the name out there.
I
I'm
got
gonna
you.
leave it at that. Yeah, his special kind. He's been at Florida. The Florida fans know how we feel because he did that to them and brought in a few good linebackers here, but they were always deficient in something. There was
Mm,
never, he believes in recruiting a 6'1", 200-pound linebacker, bulk him up a little bit, but he may be deficient. Our linebackers have a problem in coverage. What I noticed in that game is, do you know that Boston College did not attempt a lot of passes against our secondary? They exploited our weakness, which was in directly up the middle running the ball and getting our linebackers in space, making
yep.
them guard and cover linebackers, particularly on wheel routes and then delay route to the tight end. I think they made some plays on. It was horrible to watch. But I'm gonna start with the offense first because it's one of them situations where Dennis Green said he is who we thought he was.
Right.
And that's speaking to DJ Uyunglele. I've already said my piece as far as the previous show that I was on when we went on a roast and a rant. I said my piece in spaces and gave my opinion. He's not a quarterback at this at a division at a Power Five level. He's not a Power Five quarterback. It's too many easy things that a quarterback's supposed to be able to do at that level. He cannot do. There was a particular play where a receiver was wide open in the back of the end zone, not even really the back of the end zone. He overthrew him by 5 to 6
Yeah.
yards on an easy play. He was wide open, no one around him. He snuck out on the play. There was balls in the dirt, balls too far outside. And then our tight end targeted, I don't know how many times, but he had 5 drops.
Yeah.
The receiver, and it looks like a team that doesn't have confidence now. It's from my perspective and some other in the fan base perspective with Florida State is we had too many guys on social media focusing on NIL and not focusing on the main thing. Too many leaders went to the NFL, and this is
Yeah.
what you're left with. You're left with the guys who are supporting cast who are not adapted or and that can't adapt to becoming the guy and the
It
leader.
it came off just hearing you say, it, and then you can finish.
Okay.
What it popped in my head was, you know how the well, dang, that's your team too, so I don't want to.
Say it,
They
man. I can be
they
honest.
living off of they're living off of what they were last year. Like how they
Yes.
talk about the Cowboys. Y'all ain't did
Yes.
nothing this year, but y'all living off who y'all were. Y'all haven't done
Yes.
anything this year. Y'all thought just showing up, y'all were gonna win
Yes.
because y'all felt y'all got screwed last year.
Yes.
Go ahead. You can
Yes.
finish out,
You're
bro.
you're right. I didn't mention it, but you're touching it. They've allowed last season to sour this season. You
Hmm.
did not get that snub or whatever it was out of your system. And you said you used it as fuel to move into this one, but you didn't. You got too many guys that seem like it's a little some individualism in certain ways. In particularly the two defensive tackles. They played high school together. They're best friends. Grew up in Tallahassee. All of that. Those are two big ass marshmallows.
Yeah.
And the running joke, no, the running joke from the rivals is calling them left cheek, right cheek, because that's what they are. Both of them are cheeks. And no, man, I have to be honest, bro. You mean you can laugh away, but I'm being honest. I'm not gonna go on another rant. But these are two of the biggest guys that were on. So I'm not pocket. And make sure our viewers know, I am not pocket watching. I'm
Yeah.
pro NIL, but I'm also about the main thing being the main thing. When you take it to social media, which one of them in particular, see, we had transfer scares with Pat Payton,
Hmm.
Dale Jackson, and Joshua Farmer. We had transfer scares over the last 2 years with these guys in which they upped the NIL to keep them guys on the roster. These were guys that you were expected to be leaders in your front seven. Your leader in your linebacking core is deficient. He cannot cover. That's DJ Lundy. You know what he did also in this offseason? He hit the portal, went to Colorado, and ended up coming back. These are the guys you're asking to be your leaders on defense. That's the kind of leadership. That's not leadership. And that's what you're depending on to lead either in their play or be vocal leaders. No
Yeah.
one's following that. And then you got a quarterback in DJ who is just ho hum, no energy, no fire. You see him on the sideline, no emotion, no passion. He just go. It just is what it is. It is what it is. You don't have nobody that's going to grab the team by the reins. The coaches can't do it all. But then we can get to the coaches, but I'm not, I'm just going to talk about the game.
Yeah.
What we saw from the game was on that first drive, it was 3 and out. Boston College goes down and drives for a touchdown. The very next possession, what was it again? 3 and out
Bring it out.
because of either drops or bad passes.
Yep.
Do you know that FSU total rushing 21 yards? Our leading rusher, 3 carries, 11 yards. We went from trying to run the ball completely the whole entire Georgia Tech game to not running the
Not
ball.
at all. We ain't try.
And get this, Boston College basically played either single high safety or they basically had them in the box. It was 8, 9 men in the box, and you're
They
not
showed it.
confident enough. Yes, didn't
Yep.
hide
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
anything.
ahead. Go ahead.
They
Nope. Mm-mm.
they did not. The quarterback that should have been lunch food for Florida State in that. You telling me you didn't bomb? You didn't. That means there's either a lack of confidence in your quarterback or your quarterback has a lack of confidence in himself.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of us as a fan base doing the hindsight 2020 situation with Cam Ward because we were in that running and didn't wait or didn't pony up and all of those things are like, to get him. It has us questioning our collective, which is one of the better collectives in the country in college football. But yet the running known thing is they can be a little cheap and they lowball prospects.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why KJ Bolden is sitting at Georgia. One of the reasons, not the only reason.
Mm-hmm.
Certain misses that we've lost. We've lost a lot of kids late in the season. I mean, late in the recruiting process that are shining. We chose to try to get Jeremiah Smith. I think it kind of pissed off this particular player at the time when we just speak on recruiting, but I'm just speaking to Florida State issues off the field as to why you seen what you see on it this season.
Yeah.
There was a lot of retainment of the wrong caliber player, the wrong type of player. Um, we didn't pony up for what's the Kentucky game? Did you watch the Kentucky Southern Miss game?
No, I didn't get to
Okay.
watch him. The
The
quarterback.
line No, the linebacker
Oh.
that they got, the linebacker that Kentucky has it transfer from Georgia. I think his last name is Dumas.
Uh huh.
He was rumored and we were supposed to be in the running for him. Nick Skirton at Texas A&M. Oben, who transferred from Duke to Notre Dame. All these guys either showed up or wasn't supposed or didn't show up at the last minute on their visit to Florida State in the offseason as far as transfer portal acquisition. So it's a lot of questions. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then the linebacker position, brother, it's bad. And it's bad behind what we had. Kalen DeLoach and Tatum Bethune masked a lot of
A lot.
deficiencies.
A
A
lot.
lot, a lot. And you're seeing now what bad recruiting at that position has done to us. I mean, we went from having Marvin Jones, Derek Brooks, uh Lawrence Timmons, these are guys, Geno Hayes, you know what I'm
Gino.
saying?
Mhm.
Telvin Smith, all these kind of linebackers to this is what we got now. We haven't had a linebacker be a all level. I mean, Deloach did make all conference last year, but that's the first time in 7 years since Telvin. And Florida
The
State
the
is
one
known for producing.
the one thing that's again stuck out with when I watched this game, which to me, and
Mhm.
obviously I'm not a Florida State fan, so
Yeah,
I don't have
football. Mhm.
a dog in that fight just strictly from a football stance. And it was news to me when I said it to you. I would have to let go of this coach. There's no way my first 2 games of the season. I don't care. I don't just strictly football.
Mhm.
How do you got to find a way to create these leaders. You got to find a way to develop these players. Nick Saban said you got a top 5 roster. There's been talks of this being one of the best defensive linemen, or supposed to be one of the best defensive lines
Rat poison, brother. Rat
in the
poison.
entire country. in the entire country. What I've seen out of two weeks that in my opinion hurts them. They're both conference games.
Mm-hmm.
They're both at the time were the only game on television.
Yeah.
Your weaknesses got exploited, and a lot of what was supposed to be your strengths are turning out to be weaknesses.
Yeah.
Monday, one of your linebackers.
Lundy. Yeah.
Lundy.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time they got this man in the man cover and he turned his back, that quarterback literally tucked the ball and took the hell off. What I
Yeah.
liked about the quarterback was he slid and like he got what he was supposed to get and slid, got up
Yeah.
on to the next play. Like that kid came out on a mission.
Yeah.
For what they did, how the guy's small, he's
Mm-hmm.
fast, he's small. But for what you're supposed to have on that defensive line,
Yeah. They got pushed around.
they should have made that a tough day for that quarterback. And
Yeah.
the fact that Boston College's offensive line consistently and repeatedly punched Florida State's defensive line in the mouth, and they had nothing. This is the Peyton. If he was supposed to transfer, he should have. He doesn't. He does not look as if he and certain things is the player, certain things is the coach. So I don't want I don't want all this to sound like the coach.
Give us an honest
But
assessment,
he
bro.
does not seem like, and he's supposed to be the top name, if I'm not mistaken, on y'all's team.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look like he's developed as a player. He doesn't look like he's developed. Run stopping was his weakness. He doesn't look like he doesn't look like he's developed.
Can't set the edge. Yep.
He cannot set the edge. He'll still make some plays here and there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because he is still a talented player.
Yeah. If you allow him to pin his ears back, yeah.
He doesn't look like he's developed. The other guy,
Marvin Jones Jr.
Marvin Jones.
Yeah, Jr. Mm-hmm.
Where you at? Where was he at on the stat sheet?
Let me see, because I don't know. I think he may have had a tackle. Let me see. I don't see him registered here. Nothing.
Where were you at? And the crazy thing is,
and he can't set the edge for shit.
And every time they ran the ball, it was straight north and south.
Yep.
Outside of the quarterback stuff. Well, was that running back number 4 or number 20?
You talking about number 4 for them, Robichaud? Is that his name?
For Boston College?
Kai Robichaud. He had 19 carries, 85 yards. Trayshawn Ward also had 12 carries, 77 yards, and Castellano had 14 carries, 73 yards. They ran the ball down our throats.
It seemed like they ran the ball at will. And every time I saw outside of the quarterback, it seemed like it was north and south. Get the ball, go north and south. They're not going to stop us.
Yes.
What I've seen, and the reason why I said I would fire the coach, obviously
the head coach or the defensive coordinator.
I'm talking about the head. For me, this is a head coach thing.
I got you. Can't fire him because they just gave him a contract, though.
That's why I said I was shocked when you told me that.
Yeah.
But what I've seen out of the first 2 games of this season, your last 3 outings, understandable about losing Jordan, all the kids not playing in the bowl game, understandable. You just came out in 2 games, 2 conference games. Now that we've been extended to a 12-team playoff, you have not looked like there shouldn't even have been no chance and none of this going on.
Oh, it was.
I'm talking about from the kickoff or nothing, because they did not look like Florida State. They played with 0 energy on defense, 0 energy on offense. The one of the offensive line got freaking he got tricked into causing himself to get a personal foul.
Yeah.
Then the kid hit the gritty after he pushed him down.
Oh, that was a running
Un,
back when he tackled him. He picked him up. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it was a
und,
def mhm.
undisciplined, no energy, no technique, no awareness. Like I keep saying memes like y'all cried all off season about not being here. You should have been practicing so that you could be here in this 12 team playoff. But
Mhm.
I've never seen the prominent schools
Mhm.
look like that. And for
Yeah.
me, if it was just defense, it was just defense. But your offense, there's
Yeah.
literally you've made zero adjustments in 2 games.
Yeah.
Zero adjustments in 2 games. You played two athletic quarterbacks. You knew they were going to run the ball.
Mhm.
It wasn't like they were coming down and just bombs over Baghdad. They came out. They showed you where they were running the ball. They ran the ball. You did nothing. You did nothing.
Yeah.
But I see we've been on for a minute. We can move on into the previews of these games. And I know
Yeah.
you're probably tired because you just shot another.
Oh, I'm good to go,
So
man. But if we can just touch on them and then we can do a recap and do a deep dive with the recaps. But
okay,
let's start with Arkansas, Oklahoma State.
okay.
Arkansas did get a win in their previous game. They were able to run the ball pretty well. They have a unique
Quarterback looked
quarterback who,
nice.
yeah,
It's
yeah, who
nice.
transferred from Boise State with them.
Yep.
Um, it's going to be interesting because this is pretty much as Ollie Gordon goes, Oklahoma State goes. And if he can get off against Arkansas, I can see Oklahoma State winning this game.
Winning.
But I think where Arkansas is, they have a sense of urgency because this coach knows he's on the hot seat and they're going to
Yeah.
play. They'll play with the kind of mindset that I wish my program would be playing right now. So I think this is a sneaky good game between two teams that actually one is ranked, one isn't, but you probably could say both teams probably should be ranked.
Right.
Uh, 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 Even though I know Arkansas hadn't played anybody in their first game, so it's up in the air for them. With Arkansas, they're going to run the ball. I think they got a transfer that I think came from Utah, along with at running back. Then they got one of a Florida State former running back, Rodney Hill, who's
Mhm.
there with them. They have some weapons on the perimeter, but that quarterback goes, and he is dynamic. He can give
Yeah.
them some Jalen Milrow types plays. He's that kind of athletic quarterback, but he also does have a big arm. He does have some issues here and there with his accuracy, but he's
He's a
solid.
big body guy too.
Yeah, he's a
He's
big
a big
body
body
quarterback. He's
guy.
like 6'6". I think he's like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big
Yeah.
quarterback. But like I said, this is all around. Oklahoma State is built around what is actually probably the best running back and probably the first running back off the board in the draft, and Ollie
Yeah.
Gordon. I think if he gets going, then
Arkansas has a good
Oklahoma.
defensive line, don't they?
Yeah, 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 yeah. What's his name?
They have a good defensive line.
Landon
Landon.
something. Yeah, on the defensive, he's a defensive
Yeah.
end for Arkansas. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they get after the quarterback. It's going to go as establishing Ollie Gordon for Oklahoma State, and then getting something going in the passing game for them. I don't
I'm
know much
wondering if
about their defense though.
Arkansas is going to come out and looking to stop the run on the way to the pass
Yeah, that's a
because
possibility.
it's going to be like you said, it's going to come down to Ollie for Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I don't know
Mhm.
much else about him outside of Ollie.
Yeah, and trench play. I mean, trench play,
Yeah,
Arkansas being an SEC program, seeing if they try to get real physical with Oklahoma State and see if Oklahoma State can match that physicality.
it's a
Similar to how
home game.
USC do. Yeah, similar to how USC did it
Yeah,
with LSU. That's what I'm looking to see. If not, I got Arkansas in this game, but I think it'd be close.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
taking Arkansas too. I
yeah,
think they'll
I'm
win by
taking
three.
Arkansas by 3. That's where I was at.
Mhm.
We'll move on to a old, I guess you say not a rivalry, but an interesting game that has some history behind it in Oregon and Boise State.
Boise State.
Uh, yeah, Boise State, who probably has the second best running back in the nation,
Yeah,
and
he got what six?
Yeah, yeah, 6
Six
touchdowns.
of
Yeah, Ashton Genty. Uh,
them. Mhm.
their quarterback situation, of course, like I said, Arkansas's quarterback was their quarterback last year. It'd be interesting to see. Of course, they're similar to Oklahoma State. They're going to try to feed and run everything through Genty to run the ball. I could
Mhm.
see with Oregon, they'd struggle a little bit early with their opponent, their first game. It was close for a while before Oregon pulled away late, but it was still the point. They only beat this team. Let me check out Oregon's game, but they only beat them by
24-14 against
yeah,
Idaho, I want to say.
yeah. It was Idaho. That's who it
Yeah,
was. And Idaho is actually a team that moved from the G5 level back down,
down. They
and
moved
they
down.
gave Oregon hell.
Everything they can handle.
Yeah, they gave them everything they can handle. So it makes me wonder: was did Oregon just the first game jitters, trying to get stuff acclimated? But it was some mistakes. Lenny made some Mike Norvell type
Yeah,
mistakes in that game, getting cute with an opponent and playing with your food kind
yeah,
of situation. So I can see, to be honest with you, I think Genty can establish that Boise is started, of course, going to try to establish the run here, but I see Oregon coming out all gas, no breaks this game
no,
because of the Idaho game. I think they come
yeah.
out try to step on Boise's neck real hard and quick,
They
and
reestablish who they are.
yeah, they reestablish who they are as a program and
Yeah,
where they're looking to go. I don't. I see this as being at least a 14-point game.
yeah.
I think Boise will score some points. I think Genty may get just under 100 yards. Uh, but I don't he's not getting 6 touchdowns this
Oh
week. I
yeah, he
know
won't
that.
get six.
He ain't getting 6 touchdowns, bro. I think Oregon coming to play because the better Uyangalele established himself in that game, even though it was close. Oregon's defense did was able to get to the quarterback and they were able to make some plays. Um, and Mateo Uyangalele, uh,
Mm.
he had a great game. Let me see. I'm trying to look it up real quick, but I still the only thing about Oregon is the how will Dylan Gabriel fare in a with a bigger game, in a bigger game because I'm gonna give you his numbers. He was 49 of 41 for 380 yards. He averaged
Mm.
7.8 yards per pass and 2 touchdowns in that game. His QBR was 56.2.
Who was it again?
Dylan Gabriel. He
Oh yeah,
transferred from
yeah,
Oklahoma.
from Oklahoma.
Yeah, yeah. Um, They were able to run the ball. They used Jordan James. He ran for 95. Of course, I have no problems or qualms with their offensive line. Um, but just to speak on Mateo Uyunglele, the actual Uyunglele that got all the positive
Yeah,
genes as far as production, he had 3 total tackles, 3 solo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. That's impact on a game, from a defensive tackle, defensive end standpoint. Um, I like Oregon's defense a lot. I think they have some pieces that could take them to that. To me, I penciled them in as a 12, one of the 12,
yeah.
as one of the
I think
12.
so
They're
too.
penciled in as one of the 12 teams. I think this was just a hiccup being their first game. They may have looked ahead a little bit to Boise.
New
Um,
quarterback, new
yeah, new
quarterback. They had a lot of
quarterback, new
they got good stuff
system.
going on. Yeah,
Yeah, new system as far as for him getting him acclimated. He still threw for 380 yards. So and probably a little dink and dunk here, just a couple of shots down the field. I didn't actually see the game, so I had to go back and watch it to see. But I do expect Oregon to pretty much be all gas, no brakes against
yeah.
Boise State and pretty much establish themselves as one of the top five, if not top two teams in the country this week. Um, let's move over to the team that you're playing with on our dynasty, Mr. Tennessee versus NC State. This is interesting because NC State came out and had some of those same kind of things like Oregon. They played the team was an FCS team, I believe, and they played. It
Yeah.
was a close game for a while. They may have been looking ahead to this Tennessee game, which is going to be held in Charlotte. They're playing it in the Panther Stadium.
Hmm.
I'm going to take Tennessee here, but I think it may be like a 8-10 point win.
Yeah.
I got Ilamaleva thrown all over the field, but it's going to be interesting to see what NC State does because their coach is good, is buttoned up. They're going to play tough. It's a home game for them with Charlotte being close to Knoxville, so this could be a very neutral game also
Neutral
with the
game.
fans. Yeah, with the fans. Um, I like Tennessee in this game, of course. I'm not just picking the name, but I'm not going to be shocked if NC State pulls it off. I think I like I said, I think they got caught looking ahead against this previous, their opponent this past weekend.
Mhm.
I like some of the pieces they have. The quarterback that they got from Coastal Carolina. I can't remember his name.
Grayson McCall.
Yeah, Grayson McCall. Um, I
That
like some of the
that's
things that they
why
got.
they said he. I think that's why they start off slow.
Yeah.
It was with him. He's the reason why now I like him. I liked him at Coastal Carolina, but just
Uh-huh.
like we talked about last week with Cam Ward,
Hmm.
now you're playing big time football. How you gonna be? He started off a little shaky. How's
Yeah.
the speed of the SEC gonna be? Because
Yeah.
what's the Tennessee quarterback name? Nick what?
Nico Ilamaleva.
Nico what?
I think it's Lama Leva or Ema Leva. Ema
Elama
Leva.
Labor.
Ema Leva. Yeah.
Nico. Anyways, Nico.
Nico.
And
Just call him Nico.
Nico finna throw all over them. I
Yeah.
know NC State does have. I think they got a solid corner.
Yes. Yes, they do.
I can't remember the kid's name, but I just think for the show that Nico put on last week,
Hmm.
obviously
Hmm.
against lower level,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, because it wasn't like they played a very tough team,
Hmm.
but that confidence going in, our defense going in, James
Yeah.
Pierce, they got solid linebacker core.
Yeah.
I like Tennessee in this matchup. I like
Yeah, I
Tennessee
do
in this
too.
matchup. I think especially if McCall comes out playing slump early on like he was,
Hmm.
I can see Tennessee's opportunistic defense putting up some points.
Yeah.
So I got them winning by 14-17.
Wow. That's interesting because it's going to be interesting to see how Tennessee can contain the Swiss Army knife that is Kevin Concepcion for
Mm-hmm.
NC State. They design plays and find ways to get him the ball. Um, they're using a freshman too named Noah Rogers that would be one to look out for NC State. In that game, Grayson McCall did throw for 318 yards, 3 touchdowns. He threw one pick in that game. He was 26 of 40. They were able to get 100 yards on the ground too, 123 alone from Jordan Waters and 2 touchdowns. And then
Yeah,
Concepcion had 121 yards receiving. It to me, if NC State's in this game, it's going to be totally on their defense
right.
and what they do defensively. I think they can score points on Tennessee, but they can't allow their defense has to keep it from being a shootout. If they want, they're gonna have to muddy the game up. Try to establish the run. Uh, have Grayson McCall operate within the offense and find ways to get Concepcion touches because he's the kind of player that can you can line him up in the backfield in the slot out wide. You can do some wildcat with him. It's a little bit of everything. He's an all around. He's a football player athlete with good speed,
Yeah.
and he was actually the best freshman statistically wide receiver in the country last year. Best true freshman, and he's a guy that can tear your ass up. No Diddy, but he can tear you up. No, real man, real talk, bro. He could tear you up if you allow just put allow him to get off and go get touches and find creative ways to get him the ball in space. He's that kind of player. He's dangerous.
Yeah. He had 3 touchdowns, didn't
Yeah, he is dangerous. Yeah,
he? Yeah.
3 touchdowns. They
Nine,
also he
nine.
didn't do nothing in the run game. But they did give him the ball in the run game too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He
that
had negative
game,
2 yards in the running.
yeah. But I got Tennessee by 10. Now let's go to this one here. That's going to be real interesting, bro. And it's Texas, Michigan. And the reason why it's interesting is Michigan did something that seems a little shaky. There's some shakiness there with Michigan, which we expected with all the
Bodies they lost.
coaching from coaching the ball to the
Mhm.
personnel. They lost 18 players, plus you lost several coaches off that staff, and everyone is expecting them to fall a little bit, which it's still out there if they will. I believe they played who? Fresno State.
Fresno State, but that
Yeah.
that was another game that was close late. Michigan's
Uh-huh.
defense, if I'm not mistaken, Will Johnson made
Yeah,
a
Will
pick,
Johnson.
had a pick six, but for what I didn't like what Michigan did with the two
Hmm.
quarterback system.
No.
I was not a fan of it, especially going against Fresno State. You can say how competitive you think they are, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Michigan is supposed to be a defensive led team.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they made the plays that need to be made, pick six, whatnot. It shouldn't have been as close as it was,
Yeah.
as late as it was,
Hmm.
strictly from the defense. You got a good rushing attack with Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
I would go Orgy. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah. Alex Orgy.
I
Yes.
would go Alex Orgy. He's the older of the two, more
Hmm.
athletic of the two, the bigger body of the two, and there's more that you can do. Um,
Yeah.
but the two quarterback system, I'm not a fan of. I
Yeah.
don't foresee that working with Michigan. With Michigan, and
Hmm.
in this game, I'm taking Texas.
Yeah. I'm taking
I'm
Texas
taking
also.
Texas. I'm taking
Yeah.
Texas. I like what I saw out of Quinn Ewers.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna be quick with Texas. Then you got it, bro. I
Okay.
like what I saw out of Quinn Ewers.
Hmm.
I like what I saw out of Arch Manning when he got to go in. Sark is a good play caller. Isaiah
Hmm.
Bond should be able to continue to have a good breakout season here after transferring over from Alabama.
Yeah.
I like what I saw out of their defense. Now, could we see more? Absolutely, from Texas. And this, I think, will be one of those matchups where they'll show up,
Hmm.
unlike how we talked about Florida against Miami or how Florida State did against Boston College or Georgia Tech. I
Hmm.
believe Texas will show up ready to play. I
Hmm.
think they will establish some form of dominance on Michigan. I'm expecting Texas to win. I'm gonna give them by 10.
By 10. Okay. For me, I'm looking at statistics. They only allow Orgy to throw two attempts. He only had two attempts passing the ball. Yeah, 3 yards and one touchdown. They did
I don't
use him
think he
in the
got a
running
lot
game.
going rushing. Did he get a
Yeah,
lot going in the rushing
yeah.
game?
5 yard. He had 5 carries for 32 yards. They used running back Khalil Mullings, who actually it wasn't Donovan Edwards. Edwards had 11 carries for 27 yards. I don't know what
Dang.
plays into that. Maybe he got nicked up a little bit. Who knows? But they did. Another running back had 15 carries for 92 yards. So they
Mm.
found, it looks like they're going to try to go with the same philosophy: run the football, pound the rock.
Yep.
They throw to their tight end, which is one of the best in the country, Colston Loveland. 8 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. I don't think the problem with Michigan's offense is I don't think they're going to have to run into a team eventually. It's going to catch up to them that it didn't catch up to them
Yep.
last year with athletes
Yep.
on the defensive side and not having an established wide receiver that's elite.
It's gonna hurt him.
It's going to hurt them because you're going to only bludgeon teams for so long
Yep.
until you run into a team that can put up a bunch of points. If they can score on your defense enough, then it takes away your strength because now you have to drop back and throw the football.
Yep.
And if
You
that's a
can't just
weakness,
can't run
it's
it.
going to be
Yep.
exploited. Exactly. That's a weakness. With Texas, the only thing I wonder about with Texas is this: is their defensive tackles good enough? Are their defensive tackles good enough? Because it's a question mark for me. They lost two draftable defensive linemen interior last year, and Murphy and Sweat. I know
Yep.
they have some names, but that was a question mark for them coming into the season. And we won't know until this Michigan game. If well, you said 10 points, I still could say see Michigan winning this game simply because their style of play could work against Texas.
Yeah.
If because they have enough of a secondary that can probably play with Texas's wide receivers. If they can get out ahead and control the line of scrimmage, that's where they can
Now,
get real
yeah.
physical. Sort of, it could end up sort of how the Michigan Alabama game in the playoff was last year. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Yeah. Yours, if he goes off, then I would cement him as your Heisman front runner right now. He's because he had a great first game. Of course, it was against a cupcake. I'm trying to find
Yeah.
the box scores right now. I don't remember who Texas played. I
I
know it
don't
was a
remember.
cupcake. Just touching on it, but they have Texas has weapons, but one thing is Texas got beat up in the offseason on the running back at the running back position. So that's something to watch out
Oh, they
for
play
with
Colorado State.
Colorado State. Yeah, I see it now. Uh, like look at Texas's run. I'm looking at their statistics. They were able to run for 100 yards as a team. They used Jarrett Gibson, Jaden Blue. They each ran for 76, 56, respectively. So they kind of just coasted their way in this win.
Yeah,
Quinn Ewers threw for 260 yards. Yeah, this was one of them typical coast, we just gonna coast to this win, beat the shit out of you kind of things. But the trenches as far as this is Texas's defensive line versus Michigan's offensive line. That's where that game's going to be won. It's not. I'm not even really looking at Michigan's off, deep because Texas has to be one run the football and stop the
yeah,
run. It's the old philosophy. If Texas can run the football, because Michigan still brings back a stick on their defensive line themselves. So if Michigan can stop Texas from running the football, I think that's where they can control the game. If
yeah.
if Texas can run the football, they will control the game. This isn't a. I don't think this is going to be a game where Texas tries to air it out a lot because Michigan does have a solid secondary. But I do believe if Texas can get any inkling of a running game, that benefits them. If they can't run the football, I think Michigan could take control. I give Texas the edge by 3 points, but I can see Michigan winning this game by also by 3-2 in a late field goal. And it's a
I just
home
got.
game, I believe.
Oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. I thought
I
they were
think
going.
it's neutral.
I
Is
thought it
it
was a
neutral
home game.
site?
I
No,
thought it
I
was a
think
home
it's
game for Texas, but it's a home game for Michigan.
yeah. See, they got to come to the big house.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, that's where it's going to be real interesting to see if
I just
Michigan.
think. I think the two quarterback systems. One of them is going to screw up because you're going to take one. One of them is going to do a costly play.
Yeah, and then one of them, Warren Davis Warren, he's a walk on.
Right.
So you really don't, it seems like I said, they trying to run that same philosophy that they did last year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It can work for them in certain, but eventually it's going to catch up. Texas is one of those teams that can expose that. I'm
Right.
pointing out ways and where I can see both teams winning. And if Texas can run the football, I think that's where if they show the ability to move the line of scrimmage when they're on offense, then I say, ooh, this is gonna get interesting.
This is going
But
to be
if
right. Yep.
yeah, it's going to get interesting. But the interesting side for them on the defense side of the ball is to watch what they do at the two defensive tackle spots for Texas. If they can stop the run of Michigan's running game, then then this game could get ugly. But I don't. I be honest with you, I don't see it. I don't see Texas being able to stop Michigan from running the ball unless they bring 8 men in the box. That kind of situation because of
But
this.
that's the reason why I
Yeah,
feel, because I feel like they're going to come out. They're going to come out. We're going to lock you up. You
yeah,
got. You don't know who the hell you got at quarterback.
yeah,
You don't know who your quarterback is.
yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about dropping into coverage. You don't have burners at wide receiver. It's not
Hmm.
like you have, like we talked, who I can't even remember who we were just talking about. Was it Clemson? We were talking about wide receivers. You don't necessarily have a dog wide receiver who
Yeah.
I as Texas should fear.
Hmm.
I'm coming up. I'm taking that crowd out of the game early. I'm coming up.
Yeah.
I'm loading the box. Try it if you want it.
Yeah.
Try it if you want it.
Just one thing to let note too against Colorado State, bro. Texas didn't have a single sack.
Yeah,
So that's something to watch out for. If you can't get pressure on Colorado State, I mean, I can't count pressures from these statistics because you got to count those in today's football too. But you weren't able to get to the quarterback for a sack against Colorado State. And even though Michigan lost a lot, they still, that's a position in
their
that
offensive
room that
line is.
they groom that
Yeah,
room to be consistent. Even the backups can step in and start to produce. So that's going to be interesting to see if they can't get pressure there. And if like I said, if Michigan can run the football on them, then it could be that's where this game could get muddy. Michigan may
yeah.
try to muddy the game up a little bit like they did against Alabama, make it sloppy.
I don't. Me personally, I just feel like I feel like Texas is going to try to come with more
Yeah,
pressure. They're going to have to come bring in it, especially when Orgy does get in, because he did do a lot of zone read. Really, that's
yeah,
kind of all they were using him for, is
yeah,
running the ball. So like you're kind of telling me what he's going to do when he's
yeah,
in. So,
So it'd be interesting to see if they were playing games too, being a little coy, you
So
know.
what game are we gonna play a game?
Yeah, we should play a game. I'm looking at, is Friday good or would Thursday be better?
I'm good. I'm good Friday.
Okay, so we can do Friday during the day.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, we'll do that Friday. As long I'll get with you offline with the time,
All right.
because I have little errands and things to run.
Yeah.
But yeah, Friday would be perfect. We can set it up early and get it over with. And I think the game is obvious. We just ended on it. It's
Michigan.
Texas, Michigan. We'll flip a
Michigan.
quarter or we'll do paper, rock, scissors or something for who gets who, and we'll just run it like that and
All
just
right.
play the game and have fun with it. But that seems to be it, man. We like to
Yeah, that's
thank
it.
everyone. We thank everyone for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Just help us get our algorithm going. Sorry for the wait. Be on the lookout because we are getting ready to hit this NFL thing rolling. The season starts this week. Actually, it was
It's
Thursday and
Thursday.
Friday.
Thursday
Yeah,
and Friday.
Thursday and Friday we got games. So we're gonna have to get into that and get back in our bag a little bit. We sorry for the wait. We've been pushing back a little bit like a Wheezy album, but we working. We working. Just give us time. Life is life, and as we say to each other,
Yeah.
and we just being, because we're fathers and husbands too, so we try to balance things out as much as we can. But we do appreciate everybody. Thank y'all. Make sure that you also check out Double D's Let's Talk Ball. That's our NFL. Check out D's Corner. That's DSCORNER. You see it. You see it right there in the screen. Also check us out. We will be doing the gaming of we'll be Double D's gaming. We will be broadcasting and playing a Michigan versus Texas game. And y'all just have a good evening, night, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.